Are we starting with the Classic?
Yes, we are. Nice way to open the show, Chad. Appreciate it. Let's start with the Classic. This is going to be the free race that we are going to provide our viewers. And after that, we have 2 races for our patrons only. Also going to be, of course, on Saturday's card. And those races are going to be the Filly and Mare Turf and the Distaff. Don't forget, in case you did not watch our first show, which is available on Wednesday, go ahead and check it out. And we're going to go ahead and get started now with the Classic. It's all about Flightline. So we have to...
It's too bad Flightline's in this race. Yeah. Otherwise, it would actually be a pretty good betting.
An awesome race.
Nothing wrong with Tabor. Ran the 4 last. Hasn't gone backwards. You know, he's a good horse. The only concern I have with him is the rail. If you remember, and the Haskell, he didn't want dirt kicked in his face, and this could be a problem for him.
Yeah, no, terrible draw. Actually, probably the worst draw of any horse all weekend on Friday and Saturday. The thing, if you notice with Bob Baffert, though, and he's won this race many times, he has decided to go all in on Taiba right here. He has 5 days apart, 3 6-furlong workouts, the 19th, the 24th, and the 29th. Normally, horses work between 7 to 10 days. He worked this horse every 5 days like he's at boot camp, okay? This horse is either going to be really, really fit or really, really bad. He looks okay on the track. He looks like he's filled out some. He's growing a little bit. He's not without a chance, but again, I agree with you. Unfortunate for the post. I would expect to see this horse more forwardly placed than we have seen from him in the past.
By the way, do you think it's better to try to just hope that, as far as a betting angle goes, that Flightline doesn't win, or are we trying to go with exactas with Flightline and to try to make some money?
We'll find out at the end.
Yeah.
Next up is Life is Good, a 6-1 shot. 4-2-2, the last 3 races. That 4 came at Aqueduct in October. I read Ortiz on board once again.
I mean, the horse obviously has a shot, you know, not to win, but, you know, he's okay. I don't think he wants 1.25 miles, though. I don't think this is the right distance for him.
Look, we had this thing with Nixco last year, and everybody got cute, and Nixco actually didn't go off as a favorite, even though he should have. And it's one of these things. Life is Good is a free-running horse. I'm not going to argue with Todd Pletcher. He's a Hall of Famer. He's won so many big races. But I feel like Brad Cox made the same mistake in the Met Mile with Nixco and quickly corrected himself, and it led him to victory in the Breeders' Cup. If you're ever going to win the Breeders' Cup on the horse that can't get 1.25 miles, it's at one of 2 for Del Mar. Last year was Nixco at Del Mar. This year is Life is Good's triumph at Keeneland. They need to let this horse run, okay? I don't want to see him going a half, 48 or 49. Let this horse go a half and 45 and play come catch me. When he gets cute, it cost him in Dubai. I thought it cost him last time in the Woodward. And, you know, it's one of these things where he doesn't have to play with the competition. Just run your race. He's a brilliant horse. Bob Baffert said he was his Derby horse, and ironically enough, if he never got hurt, then maybe Medina Spirit never test positive, and this whole dynamic of Bob Baffert is completely different, and this is win number 7 for him in the Kentucky Derby. He's a brilliant horse. He gallops with tremendous energy, and he's a horse that is a very, very special horse on his best day. He's probably not a true 1.25 miles horse, but if he can get away with it ever, it's going to be here. And if you look at these 8 horses, if Taiba doesn't send early and they get cute with Flightline thinking he's invincible, there's a chance that Life is Good is out by 3 or 4 lengths, doing things his own way. And it's a short stretch here at Keeneland, as you'll hear Kurt Becker scream when they turn for home at 6 o'clock on Saturday.
All right. Next up, Happy Saver. A 30-1 shot all of a sudden is Happy Saver off of a dud of a race last time out in the Lucas Classic. Before that, the sheet line said 8, 7, 5. Everything was looking good, John, but not sure what happened at Churchill in October.
All was looking good, but Flightline wasn't in that race, and neither was Taiba, and neither was Epicenter or any of the other. I don't like this horse here.
Since Cat Thief, I'm not sure any horses really win a race like the Breeders' Cup Classic, having not won a single race this year.
Good one.
And it's one of these things. I mean, I don't want a horse who hasn't won a race this year.
Here's Flightline. What can you say about Flightline, John?
Nothing. He's a once in a lifetime horse. He's going to win. So that's it. That's all I have to say.
We know which angle he's going.
if you don't want to bet, you can sit back and watch and enjoy the race. It's going to be a terrific performance.
Look, maybe it's the contrarian in me, and I watched him gallop the other day, and he's a beautiful mover, and he's done nothing wrong, and he's 2 for 2 this year, and yada yada yada. But look, I look at his form, and I understand you can only beat the horses in front of you. I get it, and nobody wants to run against him, and I applaud the 7 connections that are taking a shot against him right here. But to me, this is the toughest field he's ever faced, and for that reason, it's tough to make him 1-9 or 2-5, just because he beat a slow horse in Country Grammar. I understand he beat him by 20 lengths, and now they're sitting there saying, well, how much is he going to win this race by? Maybe he's going to win by 30, and maybe he will. But you know what? To me, I'm going to take a shot to try and beat him here because I don't believe in Santa Claus.
Okay.
Hot Rod Charlie is now 15-1. Another horse that was going really well with the sheet line. 7, 7, 6, 4 until the Churchill Lucas Classic race. Same thing. Another dud in that race. Hot Rod Charlie.
Well, I think he's lost a step personally, but he's listen. Congratulations to Doug O'Neill and his whole crew for keeping this horse, which is good for the game. But I don't like him here.
At least he won that race, by the way.
Yeah.
Breaking news too, by the way. He might run next year. We might not see the end of Hot Rod Charlie yet. Look, I love the fact that the connections have taken this horse and brought him to Keeneland early. He's been here since coming back from Dubai. He's trained on this track every day. He knows this track. He has a bigger home advantage here than any other horse in the race. He's breathed well here, and he tries so hard. And if you go back and you look at his juvenile at Keeneland 2 years ago at 94-1, he's, a half length away from winning. Tyler Gaffleone loves this horse. He's going to try so hard on him. And he's the one that makes Flightline's race interesting because he can keep Flightline boxed in tight. He has more than enough speed to be right next to Life is Good or to make it tight. And the one thing that people aren't talking about right now, as much as the public and the fans and everybody that ever has a West Point pin want this horse to win in Flightline, there's 7 jockeys that are riding to beat him, and they're going to make Flavian Pratt's job very, very difficult. And I think that's including Hot Rod Charlie, who has the tough task, but maybe the most important task, of making his job tough from the start. Don't forget, Flightline's first jump out of the gate isn't the quickest. He gets into stride after that, but he can't break as quick as Life is Good. And to me, from a standpoint of that, I think Hot Rod Charlie can make Flightline's life very, very difficult. He's much better than the horses that he ran against in the Pacific Classic when he tilted out and made that move. And I think they're more than content to think that he doesn't need to lead early in Flightline. I think they're going to sit second or third early on.
All right, next up is the 6 Epicenter, a 5-1 shot who is starting to peak. Taking a look at his sheet line over the last 4 races, 11-9, 6-4, won the last 2, including the Jim Dandy and the Travers. If someone's going to beat and upset Flightline, maybe it's Epicenter, John.
Well, he's similar to Taiba. He's an improving 3-year-old who's getting better. Again, too bad Flightline's in the race because this would have been a great betting race. And Epicenter, obviously, a major player after Flightline.
Look, I've been against this horse all year. I think I'm finally a believer. The way he ran in the Jim Dandy and the Travers with his new running style, I think Joel is very comfortable riding the horse. I think the horse is comfortable within his own skin. It doesn't look like the monoquarter is going to be any problem. They went pretty fast at Travers Stakes that Cyberknife set all those hard fractions in, and he just blew right by. Look, this is a very nice horse, and I just have a feeling that a big race from Epicenter. Steve Asmussen's done so good pointing to these big races and getting them to show up. I think Epicenter has a very big chance.
And the 7 Olympiad, another good one, a 10-1 shot. Sheet line has been awesome this year. We have 2 4s and 5 6s from Olympiad.
Yeah, well, he's running for $6 million. He's supposed to be a good horse. The field is supposed to be a good field. These are the best horses in the world. But he's a little slow compared to other ones.
Everybody loved this horse. He's done nothing wrong. He's 6 for 7 this year. He likes to win races. He's got a big heart, but this is the toughest field he's ever faced. And I just thought when he ran in the Whitney, really had no excuse. I'm glad we saw him come back in the Jockey Club Gold Cup and did what he had to do against an inferior group. But when he ran in the Whitney, that was the first time he faced real me. And, I mean, he was fourth best and never looked comfortable. I just think he's not as good as these other horses.
And Rich Strike, a 20-1 shot, was starting to head in the right direction with that 7 at Saratoga in the Travers, and then went backwards last time out. So that's it for Rich Strike, right?
Right.
He did what he had to do last time out, and he did it with his jockey riding 2 horses at the same time, which is, I think he's getting better, and he's going to get a little weight break. So is Epicenter from these older horses. I think he can certainly round out the tries and superfectas if you're making big tickets with a $100 mythical wager.
What's your pick, John?
No bet. Pass.
Pass.
Bet 100 a show on Flightline.
I was going to bet 100 to show because you get the same thing that you're going to get to bet them to win. But I'll pass and watch.
Currently seeing Speedboat Beach, by the way, on the grass here going by us. Look, I think I'm going to take a shot here. I think Flightline is beatable, and you get paid if you beat them. So give me $20 to win on the 2, 5, and 6. And give me a $20 exact. Give me a $10 exact box 2, 5, 6.
That's $120 you spent. You could have my 100, Chad. Take it, put it in your.
And I'll put the whole 100 on the 6. All right.
On who?
Epicenter.
Oh, why not?
All right, now let's get to the filly and mare turf, and this one is the 6th race. Mile and 3/16 go off about 150.
Can we do the other race first?
The 9th
All
race?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Why? This way, if you're running late, you could leave?
Right, because I have a strong opinion in this race.
That's okay. That's fine.
You understand in the 6th race is a horse named Going to Vegas, which is exactly where you're
going. I know.
All right, let's go with the 9th race, the Distaff, mile and an 1/8, 355 on Saturday. Malafat is a 3-1 shot, one of the top favorites here. This horse goes basically up, down, up, down, up, down. So if that stays the same, maybe we get an up. Basically 9-6, 8-6, and 9 last time out, John.
Well, it's what we call an alternating line. The only problem is she's 3-1, but she's okay. You know, it's not my top selection, but listen, she always shows up. She never runs a bad race. 9 for 13 lifetime.
She's had 2 exercise riders in her career. When she's reunited with Amelia Green like she is right now, like she was going into the Spinster, she loves Amelia. Her ears are always pricked forward when she's training. When she's training with the other exercise rider, her ears are pinned back and she's not comfortable. She's not happy. She's happy. She's in the form of her life right now. She's a little bit older, has a little bit of an edge on the 3-year-olds in the race. Certainly a definite win contender.
If it matters to you, even though it's 3 for 3 at Keeneland, the 3 races at Keeneland, 10, 9, and 9. Blue Stripe is a 20-1 long shot. Based on the sheets, why not put this horse in an exacta to try to make some money? 19, 13, 10, and 6 last time out, winning a grade 1 the last time out, John.
She's fine, and this is that trainer again, Marcelo Polanco, with his main man Hector Barrios aboard. I'm definitely using this horse at 20-1.
I'm happy for what she's done, but she's beaten nobody. The East Coast is just far superior than the West Coast this year. I think that Blue Stripe is up against it. She's the 7th best horse in an 8-horse field.
Oh,
whoa.
Secret Oath, a 15-1 shot is next. Dean Wayne Lucas. 2 9s. Actually, the 9s is all you got at a Secret Oath.
Not for me. Too heavily. This horse ran like every race this year. You know, I don't like her. I think she's going to start to tail off.
I agree with Jonathan. She's an iron horse. She's danced every dance, but I think she needs a little bit of
another one of the top contenders. The 4-1 shot, Clairiere, is going backwards on the sheets. 6, 8, and 11 last 3.
Yeah, but this horse is going to make a forward move tomorrow because you don't keep going forward, you don't keep going backwards, and unless you're done, and she's not done.
I agree with Jonathan. And look, Steve Asmussen was offended how badly she was acting in the gate last time. They do more gate schooling than any other trainer in the country. Rest assured, I don't think that'll be a problem in this gate. And she might be going backwards, but 2 of those last 3 starts, she beat Malafat.
Right.
So, you do have to take that into consideration.
Awake at Midnight, too slow.
Agree.
Yes, but lovely breeders.
Nest, one of the top contenders at 9-5. The last 3 races, 7, 7, and then a 10. Even though this horse, all she does is pretty much win.
Well, she's not winning Saturday, and at 9-5, I want no part of her. She's not going to be on any of my tickets. She won last time out with a backward move of a 10. I don't like this horse.
I didn't like her last year when she won a 1 1/8 for the first time in the last start of her 2-year-old year. She made a believer of me on that day, and she just continues to get better and better. She's gotten bigger. She's gotten stronger. And with so many of these horses retiring after this race, she's going to be one of the names that we're going to pay attention to. She's going to stay in training for next year. I can see her trying to take on the Boys and the Pegasus, and I think she's very live in this.
Next up is the 7 search results, and it was between the 7 or the 8. I kept going back and forth which one to go with, but I'm going to take search results as my top choice. Pratt Brown combo. And all I'm doing is reading the sheets, which John taught me, which is why we're picking the same horse, as I could tell in the background. 9, 8, 6, 5. Why should I not take this horse?
You absolutely should take this horse. This horse has a perfect line. She's 9-2. She hasn't done anything wrong. She was beaten last time out by Malathat, which will give us somewhat of a price because they're going to go for Malathat over this horse, and they're wrong because this horse is going to win on Saturday.
The price is wrong, Bob. No siree, Bob. Listen, I'm rooting for search results because she's very closely related to the family of Mind Your Biscuits. Coca-Cola is a sister to Mind Your Biscuits' mother. But at the end of the day, she doesn't win enough. I know she's okay, but she's run 5 times. She has 2 wins. She's been beaten by most of these better horses in the field. She has a nice running style. She's okay. But I just prefer the others a little bit more.
And then the 8 Society, 6-1 shot coming off back-to-back 6s. So that's impressive. What about Society, John?
Well, if you could explain to me where those last 2 races came from, I could see the case. But they really came out of nowhere. This horse was running 17s before the 6s. I never saw the first 6 coming, and I bet everything against her in the second 6, figuring she had a bounce. But that being said, I'm still not going to I don't like her. I think she's reacting off of those 2 6s.
When you just look at the race, though, Jonathan, can't you make a case for her that she is very possibly loose on the lead?
Well, then she could run another 6, and I'm in trouble. Yeah, of course.
When she went the 2 turns at Charlestown,
it's about 8 turns at Charlestown. It's not 2 turns. It's about 8 turns.
It was only 7. It was a 7 furlong race.
Okay.
But, it's $500,000, and that kind of got her out. And then, when they reunited with Giroux, Steve Asmussen and Giroux have a very, very good winning percentage together. He was a regular rider for Gun Runner back in the day. He rides some of these other horses in the Breeders' Cup this weekend. I think that he's got a lot of confidence in Philly. He breezed her 2 weeks ago, and if you go back and watch her breeze from 2 weeks ago, she's ultra, ultra sharp. And normally those Steve Asmussen horses, they can turn it on and switch it off. She can't.
I think, though, Chad, about her last race, she was totally with the track. Speed was gold that day at Parks, and he just put her on the lead.
You can make that case, but the horses that were second and third behind her in the Gazillion ran last and second to last. So even if speed was good, you would like to see some of the other horses that were involved in the pace with her early to still stick around late, and they did.
Okay.
All right.
Especially from
it's a price decision. If she's short, I don't want her. If she's somewhat of a price, I'll take her.
What's your pick, John?
I like search results. I'm playing 7 over 2-4. I'll throw in Chad's 8. 7 over 2-4-8, $30 exactas. Oh, sorry. 7 over 2-4-8 and a $10 flip 2-7. Just in case.
All right. So $30 exacta 2-7-4-8.
No. $30 exacta 7 over 2-4-8. That's $90. You got $10 change. Put the $10 and put it on 2-7.
All right. Chad?
That's 100.
It's so tough to separate these horses. I think it's I'm gonna make Malathat my selection here. She's a lovely, lovely filly. I'd like to see her go out on top for Sheikha Hissa and the whole Shadwell family. So I'll make Malathat my tepid top selection. Tough to bet one to win because I think it's so tough to separate them. So I'll make some exacta wheels. Give me 1-6 with 1-4-6-8 and reverse it.
Okay. I'll trust John to figure that one out for me.
You have some change there, Chad.
What's that?
I think you have change. I don't think you spent.
Well, he
the
spent
whole
more
100.
on the last race.
Make it $10.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
it $10.
Don't forget that.
$10.
Okay.
1-6 with 1-4-6-8 and reverse it.
So that's 60, and 60 is 120.
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
okay.
all right. Oh,
I'm going to go 50 to win on the 7, $25 exacta box, 7-2. Are you hanging out, John, or you want to just give us your picks?
where are we going?
The
What
last
race?
one is going to be race number 6. That's the filly and mare turf.
Oh, this is another very difficult race. But that being said, I like the 9-horse Rogier at 12-1, and that's going to be my top pick. I would play exactas with the 3, the 4, and the 11. 9 with 3, 4, and 11.
So you're going to have the 9 to win.
No, $15 exactas first and second. That's $90. I bet the 10 to win on the 9. 9-3, 9-4, 9-11. 3, 9, 4, 9, 11.
All right, John. Thank you.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
It's a busy day. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you
All right,
next
guys,
week.
stay safe, everybody. Enjoy the Breeders' Cup. Chad, I'll talk to you later. Greg, I'll talk to you
Yes.
whenever.
Thank
See
you.
guys.
All right, there goes John. He's gone. All right, so again, thanks to Jon Hardoon. Let's wrap this up. Before we do, and we're going to wrap it up with race number 6, the Maker's Mark Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. This is going to go off about 150 on Saturday. We wanted to just call out some of the viewers, because the viewers had some opinions that they wanted to express, or they have expressed, since our show on Monday. And so that's available. Don't forget, our show, we did a whole preview of the Friday card, the Saturday card, all the big races. So let's see some of the viewer comments. Art Spalding said, Chad, Cody's Wish went 2 turns at Tampa and ran well earlier this year. It will be his second time. What does he mean by that?
Yeah, it's actually going to be his 3rd time going around 2 turns. And he did run well in Tampa. But my point was he hasn't won around 2 turns. And you can run well, but at the end of the day, it's about winning and losing. I learned that from Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights.
Let's go next to JW. A new and good wager only at Keeneland is the $3 minimum pick 3 turf wager with 15% takeout. Races 6, 8, 10 on Friday. I haven't looked at Saturday yet. What is that $3 minimum pick about?
Oh, it's a great new wager. Good takeout, only 15%. And look, normally a pick 3 is race 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 races in succession. This is only turf races, and it's a really good betting opportunity because you don't have those small fields. It's not a 5, 6 horse field. You're talking about 12, 14 horses in races, and it's going to be big payouts. It's tough to find the single. If you can get a good opinion and have a horse that you can single in one of those 3 races and spread out in the other 2, you have a chance to get rewarded.
So give me just a quick example of how someone would place that wager.
So, for example, for the Breeders' Cup Friday, I think it's the Juvenile Turf Sprint, the Juvenile Filly Turf, and the Juvenile Turf. So, say you thought that Speedboat Beach couldn't lose the Juvenile Turf Sprint. Then you go, okay, I'm going to single him. And then in the Juvenile and Juvenile Fillies where, as Jonathan was alluding to in the earlier Patreon show, there's so close, between, a point or 2 away from each other. You might want to use 5 or 6 horses, and maybe a 20 to 1 shot comes in and wins, and you're gonna get well paid for that pick 3, especially with a $3 minimum.
And also, Brother Derek, Flightline is a dozen lengths better than these. Life is good, can do whatever he wants. It won't matter. In fact, I doubt he hits the board. Flightline will take him out somewhere on the backstretch. He won't hang on well after that. Sure, any horse can lose, but I wouldn't bet on it. He is the most impressive horse that I have seen in person, and I have seen almost all of the best over the past 40 years. Brother Derek.
Is Brother Derek the burner name for Jonathan Hardoon? That kind of sounds like the comments that he was making. Look, Brother Derek agrees with everybody else in racing. Everybody else thinks that Flightline can't lose, that Flightline is the horse to beat, that Flightline's the best horse of all time. The hype machine is in overdrive, but that's what horse racing's all about. If we wanted to give him the trophy now, we could. We don't want to. Let's see what happens 5:40 on Saturday. And maybe he will live up to the hype. Maybe he is the chosen one, and he can retire off to the sunset and be the best horse that ever ran 6 times in his career. Okay, but this is Roberto Clemente, and I'm going to take a shot again.
Yeah, it's very rare for even the greatest horses to go undefeated. It's just, it is what it is. Like you said, he's probably going to win. But if he doesn't win, I'd like to have a wager on a horse that I think could win.
Look, the one thing I'll say, Greg, without a shadow of a doubt, and there's no denying this is the toughest field he's ever faced.
Great field.
From top to bottom, it's not even close. I'm very appreciative of the connections that are taking on Flightline, and look, he's going to have a target on his back, and it's different. Even if in the Pacific Classic last time they said he had a target on his back, they weren't fast enough to really make an impact. Where here you have some legitimately fast horses. You got a Kentucky Derby winner, a Travers winner, a Breeders' Cup Mile winner. I mean, it's a deep, contentious, loaded field, and so to just give Flightline the trophy is just silly.
And even though he raced in the Metropolitan, 4 of his 5 races were in California. And you just mentioned, which I completely agree, is that the horses out there just have not been very good this season. So, all right, let's go with race number 6 at Keeneland. This is a 1 3/16 on turf, the final race of our 2-show special. Maker's Mark, Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, Grade 1, Lady Spite Spear. And this is a 20-1, interesting long shot because 3 straight wins. Those were graded stakes races, 7 on turf, and then went to synthetic, 11 and 5. So I know it's not a great track and the competition may not be all that great, but a 5 is a 5 and you're getting 20-1. So, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst idea to hit a trifecta.
Here's my problem with her. Her last 5 starts, if you go to the 2 starts previously, back in 2021 at Woodbine, are all wins for her. She loves Woodbine. Her last 7 starts outside of Woodbine are all losses. This race is outside of Woodbine, tough field. She's up against it.
The 2 is another 20-1 shot going to Vegas. You referenced going to Vegas. No single digits except last September when this horse ran a 9. Other than that, we got 12s and 11s this year.
She went into the rodeo drive last year. She did what she was supposed to do. They thought she was going to run well in the Breeders' Cup, and she was a total flop. We now fast forward. That was on her home track. We now fast forward a year. She wins the rodeo drive like she's supposed to. Now she's coming to Keeneland. She's going to have to beat me. I'm rooting for Phil D'Amato. I used to work with him. We were assistants with Chuck Simon together. But I don't think this is the chosen one for her.
All right. Next up is one of John's plays, and that's the 3-horse, a 5-2 shot, Nashua. And Nashua, the last 5 races we have as far as the sheets, all overseas. The best we have is a 10. That was in July, and then ran a 14 the last time out. So what about Nashua at a very low number at 5-2?
She ran well, and Jockey Holly Doyle is one of the best up-and-coming riders in the game. She's actually coming from Japan, where she's holidaying over there with her husband, Tom Marquardt. They're riding over there for weeks. But, look, she rides this filly well. She's a 3-year-old taking on older horses. To me, look, she ran really well last time on the Arc de Triomphe undercard, and she ran good enough to win without getting the job done. My problem is a lot of times those horses bounce. They go on and they're heavily favored and they're heavily backed here thinking that Europe's best is better than America's best, and they don't run to their odds. And here she's going to be the likely favorite in this race. And look, if anybody can get a horse ready for it, it's John and Thaddy Godson. I mean, they are, Hall of Fame, top notch. They bring Mischief over here as well. And I just have a feeling, though, that she might regress a little bit. And if she regresses at all, there's others in here that can move forward.
The 4 is another one of John's picks. Above the Curve, 9-2 shot. Velazquez on board, another European import. 4 races on the sheets. The last 3, we have 14 and 2 12s. What about Above the Curve?
She comes out of the same race as Nashua. She was right behind her that day. Dead close on the wire. Joseph O'Brien knows how to win here. He's won here as a jockey and a trainer. His father, the legendary Aidan O'Brien. So they know about these races, but I just have the same feeling that I have with Nashua, that she might take just a little step back, coming back quickly off that big race.
Yeah, I noticed Velazquez on board for the first time. Usually you see these imports in these big races and you get their jockey comes over with them. But
yeah, and Ryan Moore's here. but he's not on this one.
Oh, he's on Tuesday, the next horse.
He rides Tuesday for Aiden O'Brien, and look, I mean, Joseph O'Brien came here with state arrest a couple of years ago, or last year, and he was able to win the Grade 1. They've had success together before, so it wasn't a difficult decision for Joseph O'Brien to reach out to Johnny B.
Yeah, Ryan Moore on Tuesday, an 8-1 shot. Again, Aiden O'Brien, very similar to the 4's last 3 races, 15 and 2 12s.
Yeah, she was in that race, and she was actually higher regarded than both Nashua and Above the Curve, I believe. I mean, Nashua's a pretty filly. She's nice. But, I mean, they like Tuesday. The European contingent is high on this filly. She's made a good appearance on the track the last couple of days. And Aiden O'Brien would really, really like to win this race. That's for sure.
The 6, and this is Miss Ensign. Missy Ensign. You got a choice there, whichever that name of the horse is? Miss Ensign. All right, last 3 races. Sheet lines going in the right direction. 20, 17, 12. Before that, ran 13, 12, 14. And I mentioned this because the horse is 30-1. So the sheets are telling me, yeah, I mean, this could be an interesting long shot.
She ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly Turf last year. She's owned by Qatar Racing and Sheikh Johan. I think they're sportsmen and they want to be in these big races, but she's just not fast enough.
Okay, so she's definitely in over her head. Ran in the Breeders' Cup last year in the what was it, the Juvenile Filly race?
The Juvenile Filly
Turf race, yeah, and that was a disaster. All right, Toy is a 7, 20-1 shot. The 3 races we have on sheets, the last 3, 13, 13, 16.
She runs really well with a little give in the track. Right now, the Keeneland Turf Course has a little give in it, even though they haven't gotten no rain. I don't know why it's as soft as it is. And look, we're 72 hours away from the race, so I imagine it's not going to get much. So the fact a little give in it, I actually think plays to Toy's advantage.
All right, the 8 is Family Way, a 20-1 shot. You got Brendan Walsh. You got Gaffleone. The last 3 races were 10, 8, and 10. So this is an intriguing long shot, right? No?
She's run well. Look, she's run well this year. She's had 7 starts. She's never been worse than 3rd. She has 5 seconds. I don't know that she can win, but she's been competitive enough. I got no problem with Connections trying this race, and maybe she can complete the trifecta.
Okay. The 9 is Rogier. This is John's top selection. The 12-1 shot, you got Brown and Pratt combo coming off a win in a Grade 1. And this year, better than last year, the sheet numbers, the last 5, 9, 10, 9, 11, 10.
Look, she was a $3.5 million purchase last year. She ran awful in the Breeders' Cup. I loved her every one of her starts this year. And she was brilliant in the first start. Then she was bad. Then she was awful. Then she was worse.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden, she went up to Canada, and she found her winning ways again. I think she wasn't the best horse that day, and I'm going to fade her here. Again, Chad believes that she doesn't like a soft turf, even though she had no problem with it in France last year. I just don't know. I haven't seen enough from her. She's been so disappointing in all those times that I backed her in the past. She trains great in the morning time and just hasn't produced it enough in the afternoon. And I'm not just going to jump aboard the sinking ship because she won last time.
Okay. The 10 is Virginia Joy, a 10-1 shot. Irad Ortiz Jr., Chad Brown. Doesn't get much better than that, but the sheet lines say that she's a little slow.
She's a little slow, and I mean, it's an interesting thing because Peter Brand owns all 3 of these horses for Chad Brown. She's not even the rabbit because they want an Italian to be in front by herself. So I think she's just playing the role of fullback over here. We'll call her Moose, Daryl Johnstone, to try and take out some of the competition since people don't like fighting fair. So I think she's solely in this race to try and make other horses difficult.
One of the top contenders, as you mentioned, is the 11, an Italian. Clearly going to be the horse I'm going to put as much money as I can on. Brown and Joel Rosario combo is 2 for 2. By the way, keep that in mind. And the sheet line is just as perfect as you'd want. And I'm going to go to all 8 races. 21, 14, 12, 12, 12, 9, 9, 7. never gone backwards, keeps going forwards. This horse is going to be hard to beat.
Here's the thing with this filly, and she's a lovely filly. I've always been a big fan of this filly since she broke her maiden, or she lost actually. She got beat a neck in Tampa first time out as a 3-year-old last year. She seems the most comfortable in front. And when she won the Diana, it was, I think, a 6-horse field, and 5 of them were Chad Browns or some crazy number. And they weren't sure who was going to make the lead. She made the lead and went about her business. She came back in the First Lady, and she made the lead and went about her business. Well, now the gig's up because everybody else in the race knows if she makes the lead and she's comfortable in front, she's going to be tough to run down. And I think others are going to make it more difficult for her. I don't see her clearing off. And if she does clear off, she's going to have to work really hard to do it. So I think she can win. She's a very talented horse. She's in the form of her life, like you said. But she has the target on her back, which she hasn't had the last 2 starts. Even after the Diana win, she didn't go off as the favorite in the First Lady. That was her stablemate, Regal Glory. So to me, I think the target's on her back this time.
Yeah, maybe it does help her. Does it help when you got when you're in that position and you have a little bit of a longer race? It's a mile and 3/16. Does that help a little bit?
Sure. No, look, and it helps that Warlike Goddess is running in the turf and Regal Glory is running in the mile. Some of the biggest competition she has is running in other races.
Okay.
But that being said, she still has a target.
And the 12 is Moira. Now, Moira is interesting because Moira, in the last 3 races on synthetic this year, 13, 8, and 4. Ran a 4 in August, which was huge. Then switched over to turf and ran a 10. But that was her first time on turf. 10-1's a big number, so that's nice. So what about this horse, Moira?
I don't understand how this is not Jonathan's top pick.
Okay.
She's a filly that ran a 4, a 3-year-old filly that ran a 4. It's the best number in the race. I understand it was on.
Well, there you go. That's probably why.
It was on the boys in the Kentucky Derby of Canada, in the Queen's Plate. If people don't understand, first of all, in her last race, if you look at the chart, she ran an 8, but she didn't. She ran 2nd and got disqualified to 8th. It was the world's worst ride from regular jockey Hernandez, who regrets it and has been taken off for the legendary Frankie Dettori. If you watch her races, mainly the Queen's Plate, the Woodbine Oaks, you can even watch the E.P. Taylor. This filly, in my opinion, and I understand she's a 3-year-old, and what I'm saying is going to be a little bit crazy. She has the best turn of foot of any horse running on both Friday and Saturday. When she sets down, she's special, man. She is very, very special. Ghost Sapper, before Flightline existed, everyone said that Ghost Sapper was the best horse of all time on the sheets. And this is a daughter of Ghost Sapper. His coming out party was the Breeders' Cup Classic. Her coming out party, I think, is going to be in the filly and mare turf. She's a 3-year-old taking on older. She gets a weight advantage. Even though she has the outside post, it won't matter because she is so tactical. And like I said, as soon as Frankie says something to her in Italian and she takes off, her acceleration, she is like a jet plane.
Follow that horse.
She just absolutely explodes. And she needs to be really, really taken with a lot of consideration. I love the 10-1. She'll be my top pick. Give me 50 win in place just in case something crazy happens. But I love this filly on Saturday. I really think she's something special. And just a really, really good purchase for X-Men Racing and Company. Donato Lani does a great job year in and year out buying horses for Bob Baffert and now picking this one out for himself and his friends. I just think she's a remarkable filly, and the sky is the limit for this filly. This is her coming out party on Saturday.
Yeah, again, and I had the 11. I was waiting to figure out who I should take with the 11 in my exacta. It was like 8, maybe 10, but definitely the 12. You sold me. That was definitely a horse in the running. So I'm going to go 50 to win on the 11 and a $25 exacta box 11, 12. Chad gave you 50 to win and place on the 12, and John gave you his picks before, which included his win pick on the 9, his main pick. He has $15 exacta boxes on 9-3, 9-4, and 9-11. So those are our Breeders' Cup race picks and previews, and we have one more month, the month through November. And matter of fact, just so the patrons know this, again, I've already paused the credit cards, so you can't charge anymore So that's it. Maybe at some point we might come back to Patreon. We certainly don't want to. We want everything to work at YouTube. So that's it. One more month to go. We're only going to have one free race the month of November. That's it. Everything else is going to be for you guys at Patreon. And then we switch to free racing in December. And please keep an eye on that thanks icon. And also, the subscription button is paramount. Chad, I appreciate you doing this. I know you take your time out of a busy day, and you did it again on Monday night. So I look forward to calmer, cooler things starting next week, and we'll wrap up the Breeders' Cup next week as well. That should be fun.
Sounds good. Have
you
a good
too,
one,
Chad.
guys.